Okay, it says I'm live. I'm going to give it just a moment or two, see if YouTube turns around for a moment or two. Hopefully. And you guys let me know if you can see me and hear me if you don't mind. Come on. Maybe. Can you guys see me and hear me? There it goes. There it goes. Okay, good. Hopefully everything is loud and clear. I'm going to wait just a little while for hopefully people to shuffle on in. Hey, Scott. Can you see me and hear me okay? Hope everybody's doing well on this Sunday evening. Be sure to holler in the comments. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. Okay, Scott, thanks, man. Really appreciate you. Hope everybody's doing well out there. I want to know what's been going on with everyone. I will tell you, I've been a little bit boring lately. There hasn't been much going on in the gunverse for me, to be quite honest with you. That's not very exciting. I realize I will have a story or two to tell here this evening, and maybe a question or two. But otherwise, it's just kind of hanging out, talking with you guys. Ranger 10 doing good chaos, 1,500 rounds through my reflex, and it's kicking butt. Well, fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. That's the FN reflex. Very, very cool. The Arms Men, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm going to kind of wait for some people to shuffle in here and everybody get comfortable. Dan O'Neill, it's good to see you. Hope you're well. Let's see, bought a Beretta 84 BB, fantastic. That is a gun after my own heart, my friend. You know I love the cheetahs. In fact, I've got the ADX Launch Edition and the green one, whatever you want. I don't even know if there's a name for that one, but they have a gray one coming out, and I'm thinking, gosh, I really don't need it, but for whatever reason, I kind of like collecting sets of things. So I am going to be keeping my eye out for that, perhaps. We'll see, but they are wonderful guns. So Scott, you're gonna have to keep me posted on what you think. I love my 84. It's a great gun. Mine is not the BB, however, mine actually does have the decocker. It's either an F or an FS, one of the two. I forget the exact acronym for it, but they are fantastic guns. Now my 85 is a BB. But yeah, they're just great. If you get an opportunity, catch an 81 or an 82 if you like 32 ACP. It's one of my favorite rounds. I absolutely love it. So you guys can't see this, but on either side of me, I've got LED lights, like videographer, photographer lights, and I've got diffusers on them, just to kind of make it so it's not harsh light or anything like that back at me. And I'm watching, apparently a spider has decided to hang out inside of one of these diffusers. So it's really catching my attention right now, watching this thing run around. So that's what I have to deal with here, just so you guys know. So if my attention all of a sudden goes over here, it's because I'm wondering what he's doing. Anyway, I'm sure that's exciting for you. Darren, hope you're well, man. Hey, KS, how's it going? Got my eye on a Smith & Wesson 659 or 59 model if I can find one. Very nice. Great guns, both of them. 100% for sure. Now I kind of like the L comp and the K comp. Those are two of my favorites. I've also been looking at, I think it might be a 929. I forget. One of the 9mm ones, the Jerry Michalek one. I think that would be a lot of fun. That 8-round 9mm. That would be something very, very different. But anyways, no, they're absolutely fantastic guns. So keep me posted. Love to know what you land on with that. Scott, on the 32 auto version is now on my list. fantastic. Yeah, so the 81, and I'm sure you already know this, the 81 being the double stack and the 82 being the single stack. Again, both great guns. There are a lot more 81s out there. The 82 rarely ever comes on shore, but they do occasionally in surplus shipments. I got one, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. It's not in the greatest of shape. It's pretty mid-level, but it shoots and it looks okay. And I think I did replace the wood grips with new Beretta wood grips. I kind of cleaned it up a little bit, but kept it all authentic and everything. The old ones, I think, were cracked a little bit. So great guns, though. Absolutely great. So I hope you love them. I really do. Jerry Chambers, what part of KS? Let's just call it Kansas City, but on the Kansas side. I don't know a better way to describe that without giving more away than I prefer, if you catch my drift. So, I can almost throw rocks at Missouri, but not quite. Darren will do. Very good. Thank you. Dan O'Neill, price of metals going up. New high for copper, price up for silver bullets. Okay. Not good. It's not good. Everything is more and more expensive. I will tell you, I mean, I think traffic is down at a lot of establishments, whether it be gun ranges or other places where it's not critical, like the grocery store, drugstore, gas station, things like that, where it's more, fun money, whatever. People just have less and less of it right now. And that's been a real struggle for everyone. Very frustrating for all of us. So, hopefully it's not the new norm. Hopefully we'll see things change at the end of the year, if you know what I'm saying, but we'll see what happens with that. So who knows? Scott, my buddy, has to send his 329 PD back for a second time. Don't recommend any new Smiths. Scott, which one is that one again? That's a revolver, but which revolver, which frame? Is that a J frame? It's not one of the air weights, I don't think, but let us know if you don't mind. Appreciate the heads up on that for sure. Let's see, Jerry Chambers, south about 40 miles. Okay, fair enough. So where would that put you then? I'd be curious to know about that. So Foxtrot 69, evening, everyone. Evening to you as well, my friend. Evening to you as well. Rabbi, thanks, brother. Really appreciate it. It's good to see you. Let me buy you a $5 footlong from Subway. Aren't they like $8 now or something like that? I don't think the $5 footlong really flies anymore. So, in fact, I haven't had Subway for, I'd say a really, really long time. I prefer other alternatives. Jimmy John's is okay, that sort of thing. So I don't opt for Subway. I hear they're making some changes, so you never know, maybe. Scott, 44 mag. Oof. Okay. So that's a bigger kid. I gotcha. Fair enough. Dan O'Neill, airweight in frame. Okay. Gotcha. Interesting. Jerry, Lynn County. Thank you. Appreciate it. I don't venture out that way very often, but from time to time I do. Dan O'Neill, that's gotta hurt. Yeah, for sure. It's hurting everyone right now, to be honest with you. Foxtrot 69 about SD9 2.0 in one magazine. The trigger pin walked out. Oof. Sorry to hear that, man. That's frustrating for sure. That's not good. Hopefully you can get that repaired, sorted out, and a pin that won't walk out on you. We had a Glock come in the store, the rear pin that would hold kind of the attachable grip, but also just the back end of the trigger housing in it. It had walked itself out. So sometimes that happens. And of course, then the functionality of the firearm is in question at best at that point in time. So periodically, do a walk around, kind of like you would with your car, but do a walk around of your firearm. Make sure that everything looks the way it's supposed to look. Everything is there and there aren't any gaping holes anywhere or anything like that. So always good advice for that. Dennis, Binomics. Yeah, no, don't get me started, Dennis. Don't get me started. It's hurting us all, as you, I'm sure, know, just like all the rest of us. So yeah, Rabbi, you don't eat there. Jimmy John's is better. Yes, it is. I think so too. Although they're expensive, especially if you get it delivered. I do occasionally at Centerfire, and oof, That is one expensive sandwich. So I try not to do that very often. It just financially doesn't make sense. The juice is not worth the squeeze in that regard. Let's see. Rich B, I'm still amazed at the Walther PDP Pro Compact Trigger. Best striker trigger I have ever handled. Interesting. Well, I hear good things about him. The PDP didn't really inspire me too much. The slide is just a little bit bigger than I prefer, but the triggers are fantastic and the ergonomics are very good on them as well. I'd say they are certainly top tier for polymer triggers. I think there's some other ones that are pretty good as well. Canik obviously has very good triggers. And then there's some aftermarket solutions you could get into, whether it be for Glock and other things, although I don't think a Glock will ever compare really on a trigger level with something like a Walther. So, but I'm glad you're liking it. That's great. I'll tell you what, the PDP is incredibly popular. It has not lost any speed or steam since it really came out. It kind of came out and did one of these things, and it just continued to rise in popularity. And I think the trigger is a good part of it. So that's cool, man. Very good. Very good. Foxtrot 69 traded a gunsmith friend Pulse $100 for a Glock 26. Hope I read that okay, Foxtrot, or if that's what you were trying to mean. But $100 for a Glock 26. Wow. You know, it's funny. The Glock 26 has fallen out of favor with a lot of people. It is one of the least talked about mainstream Glocks out there, I think. And I think that's a real miss. I will tell you, if it were one of those SHTF situations, if I had to abandon the house and go, a 26 would not be a bad option at all. I mean, you've got the flexibility of concealment, really good concealment, not the best ever, but very good, but also the capability of running a 33 round magazine if you want. I mean, it is just as capable as its bigger brothers. Now, don't get me wrong. I have the 17L, and when I compare the 17L to a 26, the shooting experience is different for sure. That 17L is extremely smooth for a Glock. But the 26 is an incredibly capable firearm. And I think a lot of people sleep on that because it's kind of a fat kid, short and fat, but a very capable firearm. I've always been a fan, and I still am. I like the 26 a lot. And if you lined a bunch of firearms up, a bunch of Glock 9mm up, and I had to pick one to run away with, 26 might be an option. It really would. So anyway, I like it. I'd be curious to know what you guys think about that. Plus, okay, so traded a gunsmith friend plus $100. Okay. Gotcha. Very good. Thanks for clearing that up. Dennis Buckner, it's killing us in New York. Oh yeah, it's killing us everywhere, man, for sure. And I'm sure it's worse there, but we're hurting everywhere at this point, and it's getting old. As I'm sure everybody could probably agree with that. Dennis Buckner, any thoughts on the new Bull Armory 2011s and Shadow Systems 920p series? I have very little experience with Bull Armory in terms of on the range. None with their Glock clones, and I think I've shot one of their 2011. I don't remember which one. It was an SAS or something. I forget. Very, very limited experience. So I can't say very much. I can't weigh in a lot on it, except that they've certainly gained a lot of popularity. And they're an option against some of the other popular options like Staccato out there. And I don't hear many negative things about Bull Armory, except that it's hard. They're hard to find. And if that's the only negative thing you can say about a product is that it's hard to find, that's not too bad. Yes, I think it should be more available because they are very popular. But yeah, I hear nothing but very good things. So if I get any more experience or any more trigger time behind any, I'll let you know. But I hear good things. So if you're thinking about investing in one, I don't think it's a bad investment, at least all the information that I've heard and read about. The Shadow Systems 920p series, I've had a Shadow Systems. I liked it okay. It didn't necessarily blow me away. It's a great Glock alternative, no doubt about it. But just that style of gun isn't necessarily the most exciting thing to me. And that's the same for a lot of polymer firearms. So it's not just Shadow Systems. I'm not trying to pick on them. just that type of firearm in general. So I hear good things about them though. So again, if you're looking for, I'm going to try and be careful saying this because I like Glocks just fine. But I think if you're looking for a better optioned, I guess that's a good way to say it, better optioned Glock, especially with the red dot optic system that they, the red dot, excuse me, optic system that they have, and some of the other features, the build quality, that sort of thing. They're very good. So yeah, I don't know if that helps you, Dennis, but yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about picking one of those up, I don't think that would be a bad thing either. So I would probably take Shadow Systems over Zev, and I like Zev. They're okay. I've had a hyper comp and it was a cool gun, but I think I'd probably opt for Shadow Systems over Zev. So I don't know if that helps. Rabbi, I retired my 26 for the P365. Didn't regret it. Mine had feeding issues. It was a Gen 5. Okay, well, that's fair enough. That's totally cool. I carry a 365, so I like them as well. I carried a Glock 26 for a long time, so I don't have a problem with either one. The 365, it's thinner and lighter, so it's easier to carry, especially if it's the original one, the smallest of the bunch. I mean, they are just tiny, tiny little guns. And if you're thinking stock mag to stock mag, the capacity is the same, right? And then you move up to the XL and you've got a couple more rounds with just barely a bigger gun. So yeah, 365 is a great option. I still like the 26 a lot, and I like the flexibility of magazines, and working on the gun is extremely easy like any other Glock. So I think there are pros and cons to both, but like I said, I carry a 365. So I totally understand why you did that. Let's see, Foxtrot 69, Gen 4 Glock 26, and I like it more than my P365 and FN503. So yeah, so totally cool. And the fact that we can gravitate towards the ones that work the best for us, that's really all that matters, for sure. So yeah, like I said, I've got a couple of 26s. I mean, they're both P80s, but they are 26s, and I really enjoy them. I definitely do. I wouldn't carry them. They're a little over blinged out, but they're good guns. Scott 79. I got to handle a double stack Atlas. It was $6,500 used. Why all the hate on Atlas? What is there hate on Atlas? I mean, I guess maybe because of the price, there probably is a little bit, but it can't be because of the quality. I mean, I think there comes a point where the dollars that you spend are no longer what you're really getting out of the product to an extent. And I think that's what a lot of people kind of go towards with something like an Atlas. But they are without question top tier. And I've never shot an Atlas, but I've handled several. I've dry fired a few with owner's permission. I always ask on a $6,500 gun because I don't want to replace it. But they are true to form in what you're getting for it. I mean, the fitment is basically glass. It really is, and the triggers are stupid. I mean, just incredible. But again, $6,500 when you compare it to something in the more like $2,500 to $3,500 range. I don't know. I think for a lot of people, it's hard to justify that cost. But if you have the money and that's what you want, and you want that true, pure, custom firearm that's exactly what you want, designed for you, go for it. Go for it for sure. Let's see. Dennis, I have a MR920 and like it. Okay, another Shadow Systems. Nice. Rabbi, you tried the SIG X10? I have one time, and it was fine. I thought it was fine. It was... Maybe it wasn't an X10. So SIG did, and you'll have to tell me if this is an X10 or not, but one of our employees at Centerfire got the 10 millimeter, and I feel like if you've ever seen an X Compact or an X Carry P320, same sort of thing. I guess X10, that would make sense, but it's got the comp in the slide. That was pretty cool, and it was a fun gun to shoot. I'm not sure I'd want to shoot 300 rounds through it in one range session. That would probably wear me out after a while. But for a 10 millimeter, I was pretty impressed. All right. Dennis, the P series is legal in New York. Have the MR920 with Radian Ramjet afterburner combo. Very nice. I hear great things about the Ramjet. It's a little bit small, from what I understand, so you're not getting a lot of comp out of it. But I hear very good things. I have not experienced it, but I hear good things. Ranger 10 Rabbi, I have the SIG X10 and friggin' love it. Nice. Nice. Jerry, I can't hit anything with the 365. Jerry, why? Do you think it's the size? So do you have big hands? I run into that issue with certain firearms like a Ruger LCP or something like that basically is just trying to hold on to a pen. I can't do that. But the 365, I can get just enough grip to make it work. I have to concentrate a fair amount when I'm holding the firearm just to make sure that I'm not over gripping it. Because I've got kind of large to XL size hands, so just for reference. But I'd be curious if you've done any analysis on that, if it's just size or what else it might be. Oh, Foxtrot. Okay, forgot about guns that I love. Let's see. I'm not sure what that word is. Something up a used, maybe picked up. I bet it's picked up a used XD9 subcompact Mod 2 grip zone. Man, we haven't talked about grip zone in a while. And an XD9 service mod. Got them both for $500 out the door. Great reliability and great shooters. Well, that's a heck of a price for sure. And you know what? The Springfield Armories do the job. I had an XD9. I think it was an XD9 subcompact with the grip zone on it. I actually thoroughly enjoyed that gun. I thought it was a fine gun. It was reviewed on the channel very early on, probably in the first year of the channel or so. But I enjoyed that gun. I thought it was very solid. I mean, they know how to make guns. They really do. Dennis, let's see. I'm just counting the days till I can move from this commie state. Talking to Ranger. Oh, yeah. I can imagine. The Armsmen. Atlas is on a different level, top tier in my opinion. Yeah, they are. I don't think anyone could dispute that. And there are some other ones as well. I occasionally check out a channel, 1911 Syndicate. I don't watch them very often, but occasionally when they have some kind of cool higher end firearms, which they actually often do. But they've had a couple of different 2011s that have been very interesting. And of course, Atlas is one of them. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of lose your mind a little bit when you're creating something custom like that, and really get after it. But you know, if that's your gig, go for it. Let's see. Mac Truck Huge. I like that. Did Canik unveil the larger MC9 at the NRA show this weekend? Canik's VP of marketing hinted that they would do that at SHOT Show. Thanks. I do not know. If anybody else knows, just keep an eye out in the comments. Really appreciate that. I don't know the answer to that, though. Looney Tune, what's up, man? 1 week left for my platypus. Excited about the new updates. Looney, will you remind me when you bought yours? Didn't you buy yours in February? I want to say, remind me about that. Mine was March 20th. I don't think I've seen any movement on mine yet. So I've got a guy at Centerfire who ordered his second one, and he did his at kind of the beginning, probably first week of March. And he's had a couple of updates on his profile. So I'm hoping this week or next week I start to see some movement on it, because I'm sort of getting tired of waiting. And I feel bad for people who are ordering them now, because it's like 17 to 20 weeks. It's the same for a lot of custom firearms. I get it. But waiting for a lot of us who are impatient is rough. So yeah, Looney, let me know if you don't mind. Remind me if you would. The Armsman, any opinions on the Canik with the Terran branding? Let's see. It looks like the Lipsies model with the added comp ports. I mean, it looks cool. It looks like a solid firearm. I don't have any opinions beyond that because I have not seen one, so I haven't had any hands-on experience or anything like that. I'm sure I will see one through transfer at some point in time. If I had to get a Canik, that might be the one I'd get, just because. I mean, you know, it's got the branding and all that kind of stuff on it, but I hear good things. I mean, it's probably the cheapest you're going to get into a Terran Tactical, but it's pretty expensive for a Canik. So, you know, you've got to weigh your differences there, I guess. But again, I think it looks good. I think Canik puts out a solid product. They absolutely do. I periodically Hear people give Canic trouble for that, but just because sometimes people have issues with them. But by and large, I think Canic's pretty solid. I just saw an ad roll. I don't know if you guys saw an ad roll on that, but sorry about that if you did. I can't control YouTube, unfortunately. Brian Rhodes, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Scott, I would never spend $6.5 grand on a pistol for me. I probably could tell the difference between one that was 6,500 or 3K. Yeah, I think the differences become smaller and smaller and smaller as it gets more expensive. Now that's coming from someone that has pretty limited experience with $6,000 firearms. I've certainly never owned one, but from what I have handled, and I've gotten to handle a lot of firearms, thankfully. So I'm pretty excited about that. I get to see a lot of things come through on transfer. I try to be very careful and respectful of the owner's firearms, but even just seeing them and handling them, and if they let me, I might dry fire it a little bit. I always ask all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, when I compare something like an Atlas or whatever to maybe a Staccato or something, there are differences for sure. For me, and I'm a little bit of a pessimist in that regard. Is it, $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 difference? I don't know. But the fact is, sometimes you want to be able to say, I own an Atlas. I own a supercar of supercars in the gun world. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, honestly, if I could afford it, I'd get a Pit Viper. I really would. I think they're pretty cool. They're overhyped a little bit and they're overpriced for sure. But there's a cool factor. So I kind of get that a little bit. Ranger 10. Let's see. I have the old P220 10 millimeter in camo. The thing is a tank. I'm sure it is. Yeah, I've got the 220 in 45. It's a good gun. It doesn't suppress very well. It gets a lot of blowback. I mean, it functions fine, but there's a lot of blowback when you suppress it. But it's a good gun. Steve B, as far as the 365, P365, I run 12 or 15 round mags. I find it helps a lot. There you go. Yeah. I can run the 10 rounds fine. I don't like the flush fit in those. It's just not enough to grab onto. But if I get that little pinky extension, I'm pretty much good to go with them. It doesn't really bother me too much. But it's nice that they give you options. That's for sure. Let's see. Jerry, size. I can't hit with the Hellcat either. Okay. I bought them when they were both new, so I didn't really analyze and sold them. Okay. I gotcha. Little guns are hard to shoot. A lot of times people will say, "Oh, it's a smaller gun. It's going to be much easier to handle, much easier to shoot." It's usually the opposite that's true. And I think you need more time behind more firearms before you can scale down and be able to adjust your grip and still apply the fundamentals to it. So yeah, it can be a challenge. And sometimes if your hands are just too big, they're just too big. So I totally get that. The Arms Men, I do enjoy the 1911 Syndicate. They sure enjoy some expensive beauties. Yes, they do. 100%. They do indeed, but they have some good ones. They did one on like the HK USP, and they had one of the guys from HK there. That was a really solid video. They gave some good history of the firearm, a lot of the different options, because there's a V1 through 7 or 9 depending on the model. So it was nice to be able to have that information. They're longer form videos, which I appreciate very much. I don't really, if it's a 4-minute video, I'm probably not going to watch it. There's just not enough there. So yeah, I enjoy that as well. Yeah, and Arms Men, let's see, ad on a live. Yeah, that's odd. That's the first time I've seen that. So again, my apologies. I can't control what YouTube does, but I don't know if you guys saw it, but I saw it on mine. I have StreamYard up on one side and YouTube up on the other, just to make sure that I'm not like clipping or anything like that, if at all possible. So I did see an ad. So yeah, sorry. Let's see, Looney Tune. I ordered mine February 19th. Okay. President's Day, when the new updates went live. Wait time is 12 to 14 weeks then. Can you believe it? So now there's 17 to 20 weeks. That's a huge jump in a relatively short amount of time, but that does help a lot. So basically mine was ordered a month after yours. So yeah, fingers crossed. Foxtrot, if I could afford it, I would get a Beretta 50 or Barrett. You mean Barrett 50 cal? That's fair. Those go those go for big dollars. They definitely do. But you also have to have a place to shoot it, unless you just want it to say you have it, I guess. But that would be my thing. There aren't. I mean, I live in Kansas. Yes, I realize that, but I'm in the city. There are not many places to shoot a Barrett 50 cal. So the Armsmen, I'm liking the Kimber KDS9. Debating it though. I've had such a bad experience with two Kimbers. Hopefully their QC is improved. I still hear different stories. I've got some people that come in that swear by Kimber. They love them. They have good experiences with them, any of their 1911s, what have you. And then I've had some other people that have not had great luck with them. So I know that's not helpful, but that's just kind of the word on the street. So I haven't personally run into any issues. And we've got, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5 Kimbers on our rental line. And by and large, they run. Now they're older, but they run. We rarely have issues with them beyond the typical rental range gun issues. So anyway, let's see. Rabbi, I want a 10 millimeter for a truck gun. Where I live is wild. There you go. Well, 10 millimeter would be a good choice. No doubt about it. Bob Stedge, hey KS, thanks. Appreciate it, Bob. Good to see you, man. Jerry Chambers, I shoot the Smith & Wesson CSX pretty decent. That's a little gun too. In fact, isn't that about the same size as the P365? I wonder if part of it also is maybe the trigger. The CSX has more of a 1911 style trigger. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've seen one, but that could be part of it. It really could. Let's see. Ranger. Rabbi, look at the new FN 510. I got on and it's a shooter. I got one, I'm assuming, and it's a shooter. Easy to handle too. Nice. Nice. Foxtrot, I live in wide open Wyoming. Plenty of places here to shoot a 50 cal. Well, do it, man. Do it. You have my full support. Let's see. Chairman, how you doing, man? Severe storms rolling through. Yes, I saw that. We are going to get hit a little bit later on tonight, so I'm actually excited. I like weather. Doesn't bother me a bit, so long as my house doesn't get damaged and the car's in the garage. That's all I care about. But yeah, we're gonna get beat up a little bit tonight, and hopefully that'll be the end of it for a while. Let's see. Darren had the same issue with both the 365 and the Hellcat, but the Shield and the Shield Plus I can shoot well. That makes sense. I mean, Shields are bigger guns. There's more to grip on too. I totally get that. They're good guns too. As far as these smaller or micro category, subcompact category, however you want to say it, the Shields are on the bigger end of that. But that translates oftentimes into a more pleasant shooter. So that makes a lot of sense. And we get a lot of people who rent all the different little micros, and they often come back and say the Shield was the most fun to shoot. Now, they'll also say it's probably the hardest one to carry. And it is. I mean, it's the heaviest of the bunch, the biggest of the bunch, but they are solid shooters for sure. Let's see. Rabbi, well, people love Taurus too. Well, I mean, you're not wrong. There are a lot of Taurus lovers out there. And they've put out some pretty decent guns over the last 6 years, maybe or so. So they become more of an option. I always like to kind of present other options well alongside Taurus, just so people have as much information as possible. But at the end of the day, it's up to them to decide. So the Armsmen, I like the CSX. A little weird, but I do enjoy it. It was an oddball. Is that still in production? I don't think I've heard anybody talk about the CSX for a little while now. So I'd be curious about that. I've got to tell you guys, only because I'm very excited about this, and it is gun related. Down in my garage, which is basically right down below me where I am right now in the house, I've got a huge workbench, 7 feet by 32 inches. So there's a big workbench, and it is specific to gunsmithing and all the tools around it and all that kind of stuff. And I had the table built by a coworker at Center Fire. He did a masterful job on it. I don't have the skills to build exactly what I wanted. And he made it extremely sturdy. I mean, it really is a tank. But I inherited this house with a lot of old pegboard on the walls. So I now am going to rip all that stuff out and put up good quality metal pegboard all around. So they'll rehang all the tools and put shelves up and all that kind of stuff. So I'm very excited. So the gunsmithing station down in the garage, which is it's heated and cooled, so I can use it year round. It is really coming along. So I'm very excited about that. I had lunch with family today, and I was joking that I actually like spending time in the garage more than almost any other room in the house right now, just because I like being out there and being among the tools and tinkering with guns and all that kind of thing. So kind of nerding out a little bit right now, but I'm very excited for that. So I'd be curious to know, do you guys have a place in your house or whatever your domicile is that is kind of your gun devoted space, whether it's for gunsmithing or cleaning or anything like that? Do you have kind of your own little place, and have you decked it out with tools and whatever other accoutrements that you need to work on guns? I'd be curious on that. The arms man, I was disappointed with the P365 Legion. Well, that makes me very sad. I actually have one sitting right here in front of me right now. Thought the trigger would have been improved like the other Legion models. I do get that. But it's the same FCU without any improvements. Grip is nice, but not worth $1,200. I totally get that. And I don't disagree, to be honest with you. The trigger is no different than the other 365s. I would have liked to have seen something a little different as well. Now, thankfully, you can make revisions. There are definitely options. What is it? The Armory Craft, I think it is. They've got some like spring packages and various things, so you can do some work on it. But obviously, a lot of people don't want to learn how to take apart an FCU because it's a little bit more challenging, a little bit more finicky. But you're right. That was a little bit disappointing. It's still a good shooter. I still like it quite a bit. It is my favorite 365 bar none. But you're right. For $1,200, a custom shop FCU would have been very nice to see. Something like the P320, the Scorpion, the AXG Scorpion, or the 320 AXG Legion. Those both have very good triggers on them. For SIG P320s, I should say, because those 320 is not my favorite trigger system just in general. But as far as compared to other models, those two are pretty good. But yeah, I agree with you on that. It would have been nice to see. So I'm glad I have mine, but I understand. Let's see. Rabbi can nail 4 small pieces of wood to one larger piece, but you can gunsmith. Yes, that's true. Now hold on here a moment, Rabbi. I did build the table that I did all the reviews on, which is what I'm actually using right now. That's sitting right below me. So I did cobble this together. I do know how to do it, but I really wanted something that would stand the test of time and look very nice for a garage workshop table. And one of the guys at Centerfire, he is also in construction, very talented young man, and he put all that together, and it's what I wanted. So it worked out. It worked out well. I'll be building some storage shelves and various things in the garage to go along with that. So I'll do all of that work. But for the table, I wanted to make sure it could stand up to me, beating on guns or doing whatever I need to do. So, yeah. And I'll put up all the pegboard system and the strapping and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not totally hopeless, just mostly hopeless. That's funny. Ranger 10 millimeter. I have a 2-car garage, made one bay into a decent reloading gun room, heated and cooled too. I spend 90% of my time there, TV and laptop there too. Very cool. I like that. Yeah, I think it's kind of fun. It's a great place to get away as well, especially if you want a little bit of privacy or space away from other people in the house. That's kind of nice as well. But just, man, being able to go in there and enjoy all the tools and tinkering with things, turning on some good music. That's a thing for me. I tend to turn on 80s rock. The 80s is my jam. So yeah, I kind of crank the 80s and go to work on guns. So those two don't normally go together, but I make it work somehow. Brian Rhodes, some people just aren't woodcraft types. Yeah. So I mean, I am to a degree, have all the tools and everything, but yeah, sometimes I want to put the project in more capable hands than mine. So Steve B, My garage is like a disaster. I had the 1967 torn down to the frame. Wow. So the frame is on one side and the body is on the other. Yeah. I I mean, I'm not really a car guy, so I that would kind of drive me nuts. My OCD would be ringing, but I get it. I totally get it. The nice thing is, I mean, hopefully that's a project that you're making progress on, and the end result will be a phenomenal car. So, Rabbi, you a family man now? KS, well, I have family, for what that's worth. So, but no, it's just me here, thankfully. So theoretically, I could pick any room in the house and make it a gunsmithing room. But the garage seemed most appropriate. So, and I like to entertain from time to time. Let's see. I did have another question for you guys. Curious about this. So we've got a rental range at Centerfire, as many of you guys know, and we're trying to kind of revamp it a little bit, because some of the firearms are getting a little bit older in there. In fact, we have a car, if that tells you anything. So we're trying to kind of revamp things. We're trying to think of guns that would be really cool on the rental range for people to enjoy. Budget in mind, of course. So we're not going to be having atlases and staccatos and things like that, but good, relevant, new, current firearms. I'd be curious to know your suggestions. What types of firearms would you like to see at a rental range if you went to a range to rent guns? So fill me in on that now. I'd be curious. Rabbi, okay. Do you guys charge a deposit for paper clips? We do not. We do not. Those are free to use. We'll start to frown on you if you shoot a bunch of them, though. That'll get our attention after a while, because our targets are actually hung up by clips. So yeah, we do get irritated if those are singled out as targets. That's kind of a not cool move, if you will. Yeah. All right, let's see what else is going on out there. I'm trying to think if I have anything else going on. I really don't. I will tell you, there is nothing exciting out there right now for me as far as like purchasing or anything like that. There is nothing inspiring. I window shop on Gunbroker almost every day, and oftentimes I walk away very disappointed. So it's kind of a weird, stale time in the firearms industry, at least in my eyes. So hopefully some interesting new things will come along at some point in time, but there really just isn't much out there right now. I'm kind of disappointed. Ranger 10, Smith & Wesson is a new 10 millimeter out there. It can be had for $600. Good suggestion. I like that quite a bit. Very good. I will bring that up. We do have a SIG 1911 in 10 millimeter, and it does go out from time to time. It's not as popular as I would like for it to be, but maybe it's because it's a 1911, so maybe we need a polymer option out there. Rabbi, all the Glocks and the good inexpensive pistols. Let's see, I canceled at my range for doing that with the clips. I did shoot one once, but they never knew. Yeah, no, we don't. And it's really rare that people pick those out as targets, but it does happen from time to time. But we're not that kind of range, not at all. We're pretty reasonable. So all the Glocks, yeah, we have all of them with the exception of the 17L. It'd be fun to do that, but we have all of the other ones in 9 millimeter, and then 45 as well. And that's it, actually. Yeah. We don't have any 40. We don't have any 10 millimeter in Glocks at this time. I think we liquidated all of our 40 cal back kind of around the pandemic time. So no more 40. Let's see. Ranger 10, that would be good for your range. Okay. Yeah. Very good suggestion. I appreciate that. Let's see. Brian Rhodes, I always have my sleepover. I always have my sleepover with me anytime I go to the indoor or outdoor range. Sleepover, help me out. Is that like a camper of some sort or another, Brian? Help me understand. Keith Gregory, good to see you, buddy. Been a little while. Jerry, my garage has a suspended deck under it. I have all my reloading gunsmithing guns. The only time I allow anyone besides my grandson to enter is tornado warnings. And it does have to be, it does have central AC. Very cool. Very, very cool. Okay. So see, I'm not alone. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. I am glad to hear it. Oh, Brian. Okay, I'm going to reread your comment. I hope you don't mind. I always have my stapler with me anytime I go to an indoor or outdoor range. Good policy. That's good. That's good. I like that, and that makes much more sense too. I was wondering what's a sleepover. I'm I'm struggling right now. That's funny. Let's see. Rabbi Desert Eagle in the rental case, we have one and a 500 Smith & Wesson. Yes. So yeah, it's not cheap to shoot those, but we do have a Deagle and we do have a 500 Smith & Wesson for sure. Let's see. AK Lever, thoughts on Prodigy. Now, are you talking for the rental range? Because that has come up in discussion as well. But as far as like, do you want my thoughts on the gun? It's a good way to get into a 2011. I mean, I will just be blunt. It's not going to be of the quality of some of the other options, whether it's bowl, staccato, or anything above that. But if you want to get into the game, and maybe even if you want to tinker a little bit and customize it, make it a little bit better, it's a great way to get into it because they are certainly inexpensive. They're half the cost of a staccato, so it's a good option. Range Randy, most ranges need more rental handguns with red dots. Yes, that has also come up in discussion. We will be doing that as well. Very good thought. Several different brands of red dots would also be good. Yes, 100% agree with you. Excellent. Excellent. You guys are so great. I appreciate this. Jerry Chambers, my nieces may work with you. Like take a lesson from me. That's fine. I don't think probably they don't work there. But yeah, if they want a lesson, just holler. Steve B, I would like guns that are mid-range in price because those are the ones I would buy and always tell people to rent before they buy. Steve, can you give me some examples? Because mid-range price can mean different things for different people. I mean, are we talking like $800 to $1,200? Are we talking, I'd be curious to know a little bit more, or toss out a name or two. I'd be curious there. Let's see, Ranger, Smith & Wesson Easy and 9 and 380. Yes, we have both of those for sure. It's funny that you mentioned that the Easy and the Equalizer firearms are some of the top sellers there. People really do like them quite a bit. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan, although I appreciate what they bring to the market. So I give them props for that, but I'm not much for that, the back safety or the grip safety. That's not a thing for me, but yes, they are extremely popular, way more popular than I would have thought they would be. Rabbi, good call, Randy. People might want to try an optic. Yeah. So varying optic brands on rental pistols. Yes, absolutely. God, you guys are good, man. You guys are good. Darren, some of the double stack 1911s would be cool to test run, but the cost for range to use would be, prohibitive. Darren, you're right. That's really expensive. I think the Prodigy would probably be the most realistic unless we did like a Gearson or something, but that one runs into problems just out of the box. So I think probably the Prodigy would be the way to go. But you're right. They get expensive. I mean, we have a Shadow 2. And although that Shadow 2, by and large, has been a real champ and has run really well most of the time, sometimes it does go down because it gets shot. I mean, it's in the top 10. And I'm sure we have 80 to 100 rental guns, I would say, probably. So it's in the top 10. It gets used a lot. The 365s and the Glock 19 and the Glock 44 are the other really popular firearms there. They go out all the time. Keith Gregory, did you see Olight came out with a micro red dot? Is it rechargeable? Did I see something about that on Instagram? I think I did, Keith. Fill us in a little bit more on that because I sort of just kind of scrolled by it a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I saw something about that. Are you interested in it? I mean, Olight continues to, push things out there. So you got to give them credit there. But I'd be curious to know how good it is, right? I don't know if that would be something like Sage Dynamics would want to test or something. It could beat it up a little bit, see if it can take it. Because who knows? Jerry Chambers, I think they do. I don't think they do, Jerry. We don't have many female employees there. But fill me in or shoot me an email if you want, ksgunguy@gmail.com. If you have a question, we can have a conversation. So I'm always happy to answer questions. Let's see, the Armsman. I agree. Other than a few 2011s that are too rich for my blood, there's nothing really that piques my interest. The RIA 5.0 is one that I've contemplated on also, but I've heard there's a revision coming. I've heard the exact same thing. Yeah, but no, we're in a weird place right now with firearms. In my eyes, there's just not a lot going on there. Rabbi, don't work there, aka Sausage Fest. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. All very good people, though. Thankfully, we are very lucky. It is a great group. We're kind of a pile of gun nerds. So we get along well, and there's a lot of knowledge spread across the employee base there. So that's good. And it's expertise in various things. Like, I'm not a rifle guy at all, as you guys well know. I'm a handgun guy. So that's kind of thing. But we've got some very, very capable rifle guys there that know a lot. They've built a lot, and yeah, so there's a good breadth of knowledge there. A lot of NFA knowledge there as well. So we got really lucky. We did. If any of you guys are ever in the area, stop by. It's worth it. We have a lot of fun. That's my centerfire plug for the night, by the way. Let's see, Rabbi, I've never rented a gun before buying. If I don't like it, I just sell it. I've been guilty of that as well. I generally don't rent them. Now I thankfully get a little bit more opportunity to try things. But yeah, I will oftentimes take the plunge. That is true. I mean, like the platypus, totally taking a plunge on that. I've dry fired one several times. Haven't shot it yet. So the Armsman, Olight releasing the O-Sight optics. Any opinions? Yeah, Armsman. I think that's what Keith Gregory had also talked about. You guys are on top of it. No thoughts from me. I don't have any opinions. I will be curious to know when people start testing them. How they do, you know. Let's see. I'm going to skip a couple of comments there. Steve B, 550 to 1500 is a good spread. Well, that is quite a spread. Most of the ones I have were in the $800 price range, though I have some well over that. So yeah. And I will admit a lot of the rental guns do kind of sit under the, let's say, 650 range. But we definitely have some that are over it. A lot of the CZs, the 1911s, things like that. So there's definitely a spread there. But I see what you're saying. And I think once we add more optics to the mix and maybe some comps or things like that, I think that'll help out a little bit. I can't thank you guys enough for all of your amazing suggestions. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate that very much. Let's see, the Armsman. I've seen 2 videos that destroyed the Olight optic when dropped while installed on a firearm. Everybody will have to go check those out when this is over. I'd be curious to see those as well. It doesn't surprise me that there are reviewers that are all over that at this point. Bob Stedge, true, no cutting edge, new stuff. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And we get in those places from time to time where things kind of get stale, and obviously everybody's a little bit different. But for me, there's nothing really exciting out there. There just really isn't. Range Randy, Olight did come out with the red dot. It's called the O-Sight, and it's rechargeable. Let's see. It is a little large, but I'm sure they will come out with a compact size one in the future. Yeah. So, well, I'll be curious to see more information about it for sure. Keith Gregory, do you have the Smith & Wesson SD9 VE 2.0? I do not. I have never owned an SD9. I've been around them many times before, but I've never owned one. So I don't have any firsthand knowledge other than I know exactly what it is because I've seen many. But no, I have not owned one, Keith. Do you have one? Are you thinking about buying one? I'd be curious to know. Ranger, I don't think Olight's venturing into red dots are going to go well with the version that they just released. Looks very fragile and says it's rechargeable with a cord. Oof. Yeah, I don't know that the industry is really looking for that. I mean, what do I know? I'm not really a red dot guy, but I'd be curious. Let's see, Range Randy, price of O-Sight is $199 for the red dot and $229 for the green dot. Well, I mean, they're priced right, I guess. But there are just so many other options. I don't know. I mean, if it's a range toy, sure. I mean, kind of do what you want with it, I guess. But I think as far as for carry, for serious use, I don't know. Again, I'd have to see some reviews on that to know a little bit more. Bob Stitch, I'm going to try the 2011, but I'm cheap. Bob, that's not a good mix, man. So what are you thinking about? I'd be curious, or can you share budget with us? I'm sure some people here would have suggestions for you, but I'd be curious to know a little bit more. But yeah, if you're going to be cheap, 2011 is a tough road to go down. It really is, for sure. Let's see, Ranger 10 millimeter. I wouldn't put one on my carry pistol. Yeah. I mean, I'm in the same place there either. I mean, if I had to do red dot, and I'm sure there will come a time where I will rethink my stance on that. And it would probably be Trijicon or maybe Hollow Sun. Those would probably be my two top options there. But again, I'm just not I'm not a red dot person. Irons still work for me, thankfully. Knock on wood. So I run irons. I just really do. Let's see, Ranger, Hollow Sun, and Sig are the only red dots I buy. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, everybody, we're gonna have to go watch the Olight videos. I'm extremely curious now. I just want to see them because again, I glanced by the thing on Instagram and I really didn't pay very much attention. I saw Olight and that was about it. So yeah. Let's see, Bob. Let's see. Waited on the Gearson. I have the 9mm Commander and love it. Okay. So the Gearson, is that the 20? Did you get the 2011, Bob? Fill me in. And if you got the Gearson 2011, the double stack, 1911 sort of thing. I'd be curious to know how it's going for you, if it's running well for you. The Armsmen, it's actually cordless, rechargeable, and 159 currently on their site. Ooh, I'm not convinced though. I'll stick to Hollow Sun, Trijicon, and Steiner. Yeah, I get it. Bob, I did not get it. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, man. I mean, the Gearson, I applaud them doing that. I think they need to refine it a little bit more. I've seen that remark from several people, various onlines and on forums, things like that. But the price point's phenomenal. So if they can clean it up a little bit, make it a little bit more reliable, sure, absolutely. I mean, an $800-900 2011, that's fantastic. But again, sometimes when you get above the $25,000 or $3,000 mark, it's harder to justify. But sometimes when you drop below a certain amount, the same can also be true. So yeah, if they can keep working on it and make a really solid product, because Gearson usually does, then I'd be cool with it. Rabbi HR Funk has a review out with the Olight. He asked for another to batter and beat. They declined his request. Yeah, because they don't want anyone to batter and beat it on video. I'm sure that's why. Yeah, but there will be people that absolutely will. 100%. Let's see, Ranger 10 Armsmen. I thought I saw could recharge with a cord, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I actually thought in that little snippet that I saw that they were putting a cover on it and insinuating that it was charging with the cover, like the cover was the charger. I didn't pay enough attention to really gather what they were trying to get across. I kept swiping. So let's see. Ranger Randy Such has the site review on his YouTube channel. That is not a surprise. Well, we'll have to go watch it. But I want different opinions. I would want different opinions on that. Such is too nice. He's a very nice person. I want people that aren't so nice. The Armsman Ranger, the cover gets charged with USB. Okay, so there it is. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I'm on board with that. And think how big that cover would have to be, right? So I'm assuming you wouldn't want to have that cover on unless the firearm's down for the evening or something like that, then maybe it gets recharged, whatever. So it's like AirPods, only different, I guess. Let's see, Steve B. I only have the one with the red dot on it, and that's the P365 XL, and I still haven't shot it. The S2 Compact is getting all of the time. I can't blame you. I can't blame you there. That's a great gun. Ranger, right? As soon as KS said that, I remembered. That's right. Okay. All it takes is about 3 or 4 people to get everything straight on that, so we're in good shape. That's funny. I will be very curious to see this though. Let's see, Keith Gregory. I like Vortex Optics VIP lifetime warranty. It's hard to beat. They have the Defender Micro Red Dot that came out recently. Nice. I haven't seen that one, Keith, but I tested a couple of Vortex back in the day. I think the Venom and the Viper, they were good optics. I enjoyed them. I thought they were good. I liked the Venom better than the Viper because the Viper has the adjustments in back. And if you have a rear sight, hard to adjust the optic a little bit. But yeah, the Venom I liked quite a bit. People don't talk about Vortex as much, I feel like. I feel like they should. Starting to get dark. The storm is rolling in, I do believe. Well, so let's do this, guys. It is 8 o'clock. I should probably batten down the hatches in case we actually really do get a storm here, because they were talking about big hail and all that kind of stuff. So listen, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out this evening, having a good conversation. We need to keep building this. I want to try and bring more people back. So we've got such a great core group here, so I want it to continue to grow. And got to start working on some videos as well. So that'll be forthcoming at some point in time. But listen, everybody have a phenomenal week or two. Stay safe, be good out there, or drive fast, be bad, whatever you're into. And thanks again for joining me. And I will definitely catch you guys later. Have a good evening.